welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Another exciting show and definitely another exciting guest. Today, we're going to talk to a young lady, a beautiful young lady, and her journey. You know, somebody asked me yesterday, they said, what is the beast mindset? And we can define that so many ways. But today I think I found a story that truly personificates that beast mindset. So let me take you down this real quick. Imagine going to sleep. No, let me go back. Imagine your day starting out and you're hearing the cars, the birds, your children, people communicating with you. Then all of a sudden you wind up and you go to sleep. And somewhere along the middle of the night or when you wake up to silence. I'm shaking just thinking about that. Imagine waking up to total silence. And imagine what that must be like. What's your first indication? What's the first thing that goes through your mind? We have a young lady that actually took place. She's going to share with us how she used that beast mindset and that resilience, not only to transform her life, but she's also helping others with a program called Rise, the Unbreakable Program, which we're going to talk about towards the end of the show. But without further ado, let's welcome all the way from Vegas by ways of Queens, New York, Laura Hildreth to the show. How we doing, baby girl?
Great. How are you, Andre?
I am doing great. And thanks for asking me about my legs, too. I mean, you've been so patient with me. I appreciate that. Just hearing your story, man, I don't even know what to say. I'm kind of breathless. I'm trying to, I tell people always put yourself in somebody's shoes, but it's hard to put yourself in those shoes because I couldn't imagine waking up and my whole world has changed and I don't know why. But before we get started, tell the viewers a little bit about you and then we'll get into the journey on how you lost your hearing.
Okay, great. So you want me to tell a story about when I woke up?
Let's start about who you are. We know you're from Queens. Let's just start there. Let's tell a little bit about your journey.
Oh, great. Yeah, I'm Laura Hildreth. I grew up in Queens, so of course I have the New York mentality and the potty mouth to go with it. But about 20 years ago, I realized I needed to take care of my mom over here in the Vegas area, and I moved here. I already was a single mom with my daughter, and I had another toxic relationship with my son's father in Las Vegas, and we got divorced, and it was just historical toxic relationship after another. But I had a lot of fun in Vegas. I did a lot of drinking, saw a lot of bands. I knew a lot of people. I was in the bodybuilding. I'm an amateur bodybuilder. I met so many people, and I knew everybody in Vegas. But that all changed when I woke up deaf.
How old were you when all this changed? When everything changed? Went to sleep.
I was 53.
53 years old. Let's go back a little bit because I read your bio. Before you lost your hearing, you mentioned something that a lot of people go through, which is trying to choose a relationship based on, I don't even know how to put it. I guess most people choose relationships based on what they want versus their own values and what they really need. But you've had several that you said were very, very toxic. Take me down that a little bit.
Okay, great. So in hindsight, before I take you into the really bad relationship, in hindsight, I was trying to fulfill a need of getting love through what I can give. And also, I was raised to believe that nobody would love me unless I could be of service or be of value to someone. So that's a recipe for disaster. Um, my first husband, I'll be brutally blank. I don't know if I could say this, but
Yeah, say whatever you
he,
want to say.
all right, well, he raped me. And he said it was his right to rape me. And there was one day I was laying there at home. I was in Colorado Springs at the moment. And I was laying there at home. It was a snow day. And my daughter was sitting on me like she loved to do, like when you crook your legs, she was sitting on me. And I was thinking, this is a good day to die. I was going to be that close to suicide. So I called the suicide hotline. And they told me that that is actually rape, what you're describing. It's not his right to do that to you. So that was the worst one. It's a long story. My daughter knows some of it.
Hold on a minute, Laura. How old were you when you first got with your first husband?
I was 27, and he never wanted to have children, so I broke up with him. And he said, "No, I'll have kids because I love you that much." So,
But you said
lesson to learn.
you said something else that I want to go back on
Sure.
too. You said that I guess you was brought up to believe a certain way with a relationship with a man and a woman. Did this come from your mom, or did this come from your father? Or did it come from both?
Society. It's not just, well, my father was not in the picture. My stepfather is the one that I take care of now. He was the best role model I could have. If I didn't have him, I don't know where I would be. But my mom, when I started working out in my 20s, she cried, "No man is going to love a girl with muscle." And I was, even employers, there was one employer, I saved his business license. I created a system for him. I saved his proprietary program by creating a system for him. And I said, "Well, you promised me a raise if I could get you out of trouble." And he said, "No, we don't need to give you a raise. We need to find you a man."
Hmm.
So, right. So
So
that,
the,
yeah,
the your first husband, you was young when you got married.
I was,
What made him think that he had the right to rape you?
I, well, he's not the type of person that you'll get a straight answer from. He's got his own issues. So I don't know. I, it was a progressive thing. He wasn't doing that from day one. We got married because I was pregnant.
Mhm.
Again, doing something I'm not supposed to. I didn't want to get married to him, but my family convinced me that was the right way to go. And we got married. I have the most amazing young daughter because of it, so I can't really knock it. Um, and if I hadn't had her, God knows where I would be.
Now, does your daughter know the situation
She
with
does.
her dad? And
She does.
what did
She
she say?
does. So as she was growing up, I never knocked her dad because I know how important a daughter's relationship with her father is. And maybe he wasn't that to her. Um, Turns out after years of therapy, she actually said to me she had to grieve a person that didn't exist. I didn't raise him up, but I never knocked him down.
I like the way you said that.
Yeah.
So, did you share with your family what his ideal and his actions towards you at that age, and his right to do this to you?
Well, I didn't feel comfortable sharing that with my little brother, who's close to 6 feet. I thought he might kill him. But I did tell my mom, and I filed a restraining order. He broke in while the restraining order was filed. He sent the pastor when he wouldn't allow me to go to church. He shut off the electricity. It was just a terrible thing. It was a really hard time. But I knew there was a better place for me.
You had to be pretty low
Yeah.
to, to
You
call
had,
the suicide hotline at 27 years old. I mean,
oh no, no, I was 30. I was
30,
32 when he started raping me. So,
32. I mean, you just don't all of a sudden just do that. I mean, like, what?
yeah.
I mean, did you just come home one day and say, "Okay, I got the right to do this"?
Uh, there was no conversation. He just did it while I was sleeping.
Well, I'm glad
And
you got
I
out.
said,
I'm
no,
glad you got
right?
out.
It's all news.
Yeah. So you wind up moving out of that relationship.
I moved back to New York and 9/11 happened. I lost all my friends.
How did that happen?
So I actually had contacted an old friend of mine from New York. Let's just say I felt I could have more protection leaving Colorado Springs. And he helped me move to New York. I'll be forever grateful, but he's not a good person, let's just say. And I moved to New York. I was there a few years with my daughter. My sister lived there. All my friends lived there. 9/11 happened and I didn't feel safe in New York. I lost my job because my mom, excuse me, I lost my job because my daughter had strep throat and I had to take off sick. And the babysitter was drugging my daughter, so I didn't have time to find a new babysitter. So they let me go, and my mom was in the hospital in Arizona, and my father was devastated. So I just said, this is a really good message that I shouldn't be in New York. And I moved to Arizona
Hmm.
in Kingman, where they wouldn't let their kids play with my daughter because I had a New York accent. And so I said, Vegas it is. So here I am in Vegas.
So when you went to Vegas, I guess you mentioned that there was a continuation
Oh,
of
yeah.
dysfunctional relationships and toxic relationships. So what was the next toxic relationship that you went through?
I have never not been in a toxic relationship except for recently until I lost my hearing. So every relationship I was in, let's just do my son's father. So he's not a bad man, but he is bad for me. I would say we were not a match, but I was lonely. I wanted to have somebody in my life, and I didn't think I could do life without someone. So we
So you
weren't
had
good for each other.
codependency. You might have had your own codependency
I did.
issues.
I did. I did. And I would, until I went deaf, I wouldn't say they ever went away. So between that and the boyfriend that left me when I was deaf, I was with another guy, really fun. He was a local musician. Um, Last time I saw him, he had pushed me on his bed. He had his hand around his throat, his arm raised to hit me. And that was it. I was done. I just went home and I never saw him again. That was
But
strike three for him.
but okay, and I think the final straw should be the last relationship, if I'm not mistaken, where you woke up and
Yeah.
you lost your hearing, and the guy wound up leaving you.
Yeah,
You know,
let's be
I don't get that.
so let's be honest. I played a part in this, okay, with the
Okay.
codependency. I hold no punches to myself. I take responsibility and ownership for my part in this. I had met a guy in April. I had just found out I could no longer do bodybuilding because I was allergic to the spray tan. I went, you know what that means, Andre. I can't do stage glowing
Right,
white. I just can't. So
right.
I was depressed. I met a guy who was kind. Um, I didn't know he was on parole, so he was drug free because he was not on parole because he was on parole. I had no idea any of that. um, he was home. He got kicked out of the apartment he was with because his partner in the apartment left town, and he was looking for a place to stay, and I was looking for someone to help me with the bills. I'll be honest. So he said, "Yeah, it's kind of a good relationship. We have fun. Let's just move in together." I can't be the first person who's ever done that, right? So
Mhm.
then he didn't pay rent. He moved in October. He didn't pay rent in November, December. I was like, look, you need to start paying rent. He goes, well, I just need a few more months to get my head on straight. I'm like, all right. And then I woke up deaf. And I, I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get cochlear implants. I don't know what the future holds, if I'll be able to work. Are you willing to stay with me and help me with that? He goes, yeah. I'm like, all right, well, you have to pay your share of the rent that's due. And he literally threw the keys at me and walked out. And
Okay, hold that for a minute. I'm trying to hold that thought for a minute. Now, you wake up
mm-hmm.
and you can't hear.
That's right.
But you're going to ask that was your first thing out of you.
No,
That was
it wasn't the first thing so I woke up, I couldn't hear.
right.
And there was about 2 weeks between the time I couldn't hear and when he threw the keys at me. So I
Okay.
couldn't hear. I went to this amazing doctor at UNLV School of Medicine. He left his Christmas vacation early to try to help me get my hearing back because it was some kind of unknown swelling or something.
Right.
And he did the shots in the ears. And in the meantime, I had a younger son. I think it was like 12-ish, maybe.
Right.
And he was trying to be brave and everything. In hindsight, I hear he had a whole bunch of issues at school that nobody was telling me about. And he was trying to be brave. My daughter and I had found a way to communicate by phone. There's apps that let you call and they caption. It sounds like you're talking. Um, she made plans to move back here. And I was trying to figure out if I could still stay at work and perform my job at the school district or not. And how would that look? And we decided I would get cochlear implants. I got approved for that. But there's no,
Were you totally deaf when? Okay.
yeah, no, I couldn't. Deaf is deaf.
Okay. So I'm trying to keep the viewers on point here. So you get up out of bed one
Mhm.
morning and you're totally deaf. You don't hear nothing. I would be in total hysteria. Like what am
Yeah,
I going to do? So you went to the doctor and
yes,
then they contacted a specialist who took off and came to check your ear. But at this point, when he gets there, you can't hear nothing. So
that's right.
how was you able to even communicate to them? Were
So,
you writing?
so there's great apps. Uh, I'm a survivor. I did the bottom line is I will do whatever it takes to survive. So it took me maybe about 24, 48 hours to figure out how I can make a phone call without the TTY and being approved for it because they can't type for nothing. So, but there's apps on the phone where you get your own phone number and you call out on it, and they can hear you speak like a person. And when they speak back, it automatically captions it. So I could have a give and take conversation. And then when you see somebody in person, there's what iPhone. I will never not love iPhone. They have they have an accessible section for people who are deaf, and it live captions conversations. There's
How
other
would
apps
you
so freaking amazing. And then there's the Ava app that you can sit at a party and I got a Bluetooth microphone and everybody can join the party and whichever phone has a different color. Whenever somebody spoke, I could see who was speaking and what they were saying for the most part.
That's crazy. So
Yeah.
you wind up losing your hearing.
Hmm.
Within a few seconds, you already start becoming proactive with finding things. I would have been like totally freaked out. I mean, like
Yeah.
totally.
But what would happen to my son and my daughter? What would happen to them if the one person that they could truly count on between both their dads, I am the one person that they need to survive. How am I going to do that unless I find answers? And it's all about that.
So and then what happened to the guy that you liked him? He became your roommate when you came back and told him that, hey, things about to
Yeah.
change. Did he stick around? Did he stay? Was he supportive?
He threw the keys at me at the wall and left. And then he tried to get in 2 weeks later uh, by kicking the door down on a day that my son was home from school. My son was home alone, and here comes in our apartment, and here comes somebody kicking the door down.
What did you
And,
do?
uh,
Call the police?
he went. He went to the apartment complex. He called me, and I said, "I'm 20 minutes away. Go to the apartment complex office and call 911." So, and by the way, there's no text 911 in Las Vegas. I think there might be now, but back then there was no text 911. So we called 911. The police came, and my son was outside. I came home, and I asked the police, I said, Why are you not arresting this man? They're like, well, it's on his mail that he lives here and he has the right to kick down the door. I said, yeah, but it's not his legal residence. I did that so he could receive mail. And they're like, well, even if he leaves a toothbrush in your apartment, he has the right to say this is his place to live. I said, so you're not filing charges for him. And this is all through text because I couldn't hear what they were saying. And they were getting really upset. And then it was at that moment that I realized if there was ever going to be anybody to save me through this, it's got to be me. I've got to figure it out. And this has got to stop happening. That was it.
Wasn't you afraid that child services might get involved because your child was 12 years old at home and here's a breaking and entry, so to speak, happening in your house?
So Las Vegas, my son is old enough. I have raised him to be independent. He's not like a free range kid, but I've always wanted him to learn independence. Nevada doesn't have, at that time, I don't know about now, but at that time, they don't have an age limit per se on age. They just have to be old enough to recognize an emergency and to take the right action, which is exactly what he did.
Let's go back a little bit. So he winds up walking away and you're still going on, but then you wind up catching diagnosed with mitochondria syndrome.
I had already been diagnosed with mitochondrial disease in 2015, but it didn't really affect me, maybe from my eyes, and I had problems swallowing. And somehow they recognized it was mitochondrial disease. I didn't really pay attention to it because I was like, is there a cure? And the neurologist was like, no, there's no cure. I said, is there medicine that I take for it? He's like, no, there's no medicine. It's just you have to learn how to do nutrition and exercise. I'm like, all right, enough. I'm out. I don't know. How are you going to help me with that? So I already knew I had mitochondrial disease, and we suspect that's part of what caused the hearing. But
For
yeah,
those who don't know what mitochondria disease is, enlighten them a little bit.
mitochondrial disease, you have to take a genetic test, which I've had three because I'm too healthy for them to believe I have mitochondrial disease. You have to take a genetic test where they take a muscle biopsy and they test the DNA gene sequencing. And if you have gene sequencing, for me, everybody's different with mitochondrial disease, but mine is a specific one called CPEO, which is chronic progressive external ophthalmalgia. And it takes your mitochondria are your energy cells. So if you have mitochondrial disease, it turns out 26% of my mitochondria don't behave well. They very badly behave. So I have to make more mitochondria and do whatever I can to protect the mitochondria that I have.
And a lot of people don't realize I actually trained a young girl who had I trained her mother, but her daughter had mitochondria, and it was funny because uh, she was surprised I knew what it was. I said, "Well, it could be life threatening
Yeah.
because the mitochondria is the powerhouse where all your fat stores are converted into energy. But when the mitochondria is not able to get that fat into those muscles to do this process, this results in a word called catabolic syndrome, where your body becomes the energy source. So, in long term short, what that means is now your body begins to feed on itself for its energy source. It begins to attack muscle. And the life threatening issue begins to happen on a wide scale by meaning that it will eventually start to attack the heart and other areas for its fuel source. And naturally, I think, I'm not a doctor, but it can probably do other things. Like you said, it might have been a result to the loss of your hearing because there's not enough quote unquote studies on the mitochondria, but the mitochondria, if it's not, and it's um, um, the lack of production of the amino acid L-carnitine, which the L-carnitine amino acid is what is used to transport fat into the mitochondria. So usually, are you supplementing extra L-carnitine into your diet?
There's a mitochondrial stack. So you
Okay.
could Google it. I take let's see, over $300 worth of supplements a month. So,
Yeah.
so I have, of course, just the protein. I'm very careful about the L-carnitine, the vitamin C, the ALA. Um, what else? CoQ10. Vitamin B3 has been a big game changer, and creatine.
Good stack. That's a damn good stack.
It's great
So
stuff.
let's move forward. You seem to be doing good with your hearing and stuff. And I really like
Yeah.
the way that you literally took charge. Me personally, I don't know how I could have done it, but how did people start to how did people start to react to the fact that you lost your hearing? And how did you wind up really putting it all together?
Well, it took me a few years to get it all together and believe in myself to build a program for women because I had to prove it. So I built it. First of all, in answer to the first part of your question, almost all of the friends I had in Las Vegas in the music industry and the party industry, gone.
Wow.
They, nobody had anything to say to me if I didn't bring something to the party. Well, I can make you laugh your head off at a party for sure, but I choose not to drink alcohol because it's not good for my mitochondria. And loud music with the cochlears is a little sketchy these days. I can hear it, but you don't hear the same. You have to teach yourself to hear through electrical impulses. You don't want get cochlears and wake up and poof, you can hear like you did before. It doesn't work that way.
Um, wow. Wow. I mean, this is great. But you know what? It's crazy. It should let you know that they wasn't your friends to begin with.
That's right. That is correct. That was a great lesson for me to learn that I was only putting if I only had value to somebody, that's the people I wanted to be in friendship with. And since then, I've met a lot of beautiful people that just want me in their lives for me. And it
Now, are you
doesn't, yeah.
are you involved in an organization with other deaf individuals to build a collaboration? And it seemed like out that would be one of the outlets I would have gravitated to.
No. There's different, okay, so that's another issue. So if you have the deaf culture, when you get a cochlear implant, you like the devil. They don't want to accept you. So if you're in the regular culture, a lot of people, you wouldn't know by looking at me that I have cochlear implants. So, um, and I more relate to that type of culture. I tried joining a couple of local organization on hearing loss, and it didn't work out for me. It was again, I, I how do I say politically motivated culture, and it's not something I want to stick into.
It's funny that you mentioned that because we have a local celebrity here, Patty Spitler, who's very big on talking about those implants, and
Hmm.
she's a former news reporter here with Wish TV, who
Yeah,
now has the award-winning Pet Pals. And um, to talk to her, you wouldn't know that she had any type of hearing issues. But she's definitely a forefront runner in advocating for those what's it called, cocoa implants.
cochlear implants, right?
Yeah. So how has your life changed now? I mean, you definitely have taken the bull by the horn. You
Yeah,
definitely have this mindset. So what? Let me go here. Not only how has your life changed, but let's talk about Rise, the Unbreakable program.
yeah.
Why did you feel that was a need for that? And tell me what that program is about.
So Rise Unbreakable, I started looking at all the people I know and telling my story to all the women I know, and the one set thing all women have is the messages they give themselves and that they don't give themselves. Um, you come up across like 40, 50 years old and they're like, who the heck am I? I've spent my entire life taking care of these kids. What do I want? Um, You see people who go through menopause and they've gained, like me, when I went through menopause, I lost my hearing, I gained 45 pounds. And you see those people and they don't know how, they want a magical answer and they don't know that the answer is inside them. So I built the RISE program to help them see how they can get the answer. And it's very exact. It's a blueprint. It's a roadmap exactly how to get it from point A to point B. You get to where I am absolutely loving life. Um, I have a life I love. I'm surrounded by people I love. The people I choose to bring into my life, or
Mhm.
as I say, give a front row seat, are the people that are going to lift me up or make me want to lift higher. And
Who
that's
are who would be the primary candidates for a program such as this?
women who have lost themselves along the way and are looking for a reset or a way to become who they were meant to be.
Have you give me an example, like maybe three of the most difficult categories that women fall into that this program will help them with?
They believe the magical answer story, where if you take this supplement, you're going to lose this weight and your life is going to be all great. The reality is you're in menopause. Your entire life is changing. And it's not just losing weight, but it's the stories you let people tell you. Or the story where they don't want to do things by themselves. They have to have somebody with them in order to enjoy life. And I think that's a load of bull. I think you can enjoy life and you can decide if you want to be single or you want to be with somebody, but it should be because you both add to each other's lives. That's the saddest thing. And the other sad thing are women who have spent their entire lives living for other people and then all of a sudden realize their life is later than they expect it to be. Maybe, I mean, look, I'm 59. I figure I'm halfway through life. I've got 50 something years left the way I'm going. And I guarantee you, see me in about 50 years. But you have these women who are even 40, 50 years old. They're like, yeah, this is the way life's going to be. And I'm like, how? How can that be okay? You're sitting there making your husband dinner every night, and that's okay if that gives you joy. But what do you want to do? Oh, well, this is what I want to do. I'm like, no, that's what your husband wants you to do. What do you want to be when you grow up? And I can't get an answer.
What did you want to do with your life now that you've gone through so much
Yeah.
of these different adversities, toxic relationship, mitochondria disease? Um, you definitely have kept that beast mindset. But what do you
Yeah.
want to be out of all of this chaos that you've
Yeah.
got rid of, put it up under the bus? What's the end game for you? Not the program, but what's the end game for you?
Besides helping women get through this, the end game for me is there's so much out there in nature that I have never seen. I grew up a city girl, and the message I got was if you go out into the wild, you're going to die. I swear to God. The first time I went hiking alone here was a very busy path. My girlfriend's like, here, take the pepper spray. I'm like, so I already went to hike with my daughter yesterday. But I've always done hikes in the mountains over here by myself. Um, I have a hike. I want to go chase some waterfalls in Oregon. Um, I want to see there's so many beautiful sites that people don't even know about, like hiking in Switzerland. Um, the Stairway to Heaven in Ireland, look it up. There's so much to see and so much to do. I just kept myself so small. I haven't been able to travel. I have my passport. I should be able to go. I want to go to Greece and kayak and the islands. And yeah,
I got a strong feeling you're going to do all that. Your
yeah.
son is now in the Marines. My hats off to him for serving our country. Your daughter is on her own journey. How has them watching you overcome empowered both of those individuals?
My daughter is a strong, strong young woman. And she was my first child, so I'm sure I traumatized her. I know she went to therapy for it, and we had to come to Jesus, Mom, you did this to my life. meeting, which I never intended to, but I didn't have the knowledge that I had with my son. But she always knew that I stood up. You can knock me down 50 million times, and that next time I'm still going to stand up. One thing that you don't know about is that I had a bone tumor when my son was 1, and they told me
Wow.
I was going to lose my leg to uh, maybe to cancer, but it ended up being benign. So I ran 2 marathons after that, one with a plate in my leg. And then I started bodybuilding because I didn't like physical therapy. So my kids always learn that if something's holding you back, figure out how to get your way back up. And my daughter asked, how do you do that? I said, well, some nights I lay down and when I can't sleep, I line up my ducks, but first I count them and I name them. So this is Dr. 1, Dr. 2, Dr. 3, and I make a plan for the next day and how I'm going to overcome what I'm struggling with. And it never
That is
fails.
that is some great knowledge. How can the viewers reach out to you and understand and be a part of the Rise Unbreakable program?
You can find me on Facebook, Rise Unbreakable. My Instagram, Rise Unbreakable. That's the easy way most people message me. Um, you can also find me on Laura Ann LV on Instagram. We do have a website, but it's kind of hinky. So
We'll have you come back and give us all that information. You know
yeah,
what? Thank you so much for
thank
taking
you.
time out to come on the show and share such a beautiful story of resilience. My definitely, I mean, you definitely should get the Beast Award right now for waking up, losing your hearing, and still
Yeah,
going on. Um, like I said, you definitely got that beast mindset.
thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton show.